Hey guys, welcome back to a brand new video. Hope you guys are all doing well. Now, international break has been so boring. I think England just played today. Lost to Brazil. Honestly, I couldn't care. It's just a friendly. But I think this is a debate. It's a debate that I've been seeing a lot. Foden versus Saka, who's world class and who's not. So I just wanted to make a video and ask the question of how many players do Arsenal have that is world class. Now, of course, I wanted to first make the video on purely on Saka, but I just decided why not just put it all together and just judge Arsenal overall and just put in the conversation how many players do Arsenal actually have that is world class. Now, I think the first thing to start off is what is world class. Everyone has their own definition of what they think is world class, and I'm not saying my definition is the best. Maybe you might differ, but for me, I think personally that world class tag gets blown around way too quickly. I think if a player has maybe 4 to 5 good games, suddenly they start saying, yeah, he's world class, and I think it's disrespectful. I think it just gets blown out way too quickly. For me, world class in my definition is you are the top five, you are within the top five in your position in the world, okay? And so I think it's fair saying top five. I think to be world class, you are separate from the rest of the players. I think that's what the difference is. And I think another big aspect for me, what makes a world class player compared to a really good player, is you have to deliver in big moments. I think that is what sets world class players apart from just really good players. And I think the world class players are your difference makers. Now, we'll talk about the first one, Saka, who's been talked about a lot in these debates. Is Saka world class if he's not? If you compare him firstly to the other wingers, yeah, I would say he is a top five right winger in the world. Now, where you judge him in that list, is your opinion. But for me, like, I do struggle to think of better right wingers better than him. Of course, you got Mohamed Salah. I don't know. Can you say the likes of Coleman, Son? I don't know. It really depends on your perspective. But for me, I do think even if they are in the list, the likes of Usman Dembele and stuff, you can still argue he's a top five right winger in the world. He is in that top five. He's a brilliant player. Now, he's been getting compared to a lot of Phil Foden, of course, English, playing right wing, Manchester City. It makes sense. But like, if people are saying Foden is world class, then I can argue that Saka is world class. But for me personally, I do not think Saka is world class, and I also don't think Foden is world class. Now, the reason why I don't say Saka is world class, it's not any disrespect to him. I'm not saying he's a bad player, but I think Saka is just on the borderline of almost being world class. I think with Saka, he needs a bit more big moments to produce. Now, of course, he's been doing brilliant in the Premier League. We've all seen that since he's come onto the scene, he's been carrying the pressure and he's been delivering. And I think he needs these big moments more. I think that is what he needs. Of course, right now, the Premier League and the Champions League, we saw him play in Porto, and he admitted himself, Porto wasn't the best of his performance. And I think that is the thing that's just holding him back from being world class. Is games in the moments like this where your team is struggling, you step up and you are the difference maker. I think that's what Saka needs more. He needs those type of moments more often. Now, he also, of course, needs to win a trophy as well. Yes, he's won the FA Cup. He was in the team, but of course, he didn't contribute. So I think he needs to win a trophy and he needs to deliver a bit more in these big moments. Now, the Champions League is there for him to produce. Now, Porto, he didn't play too good. Even he said it himself, he didn't play too good. So he's getting another opportunity against Bayern Munich, and I think this is a chance for him to deliver on the world class stage, get an assist, get a goal, be that difference maker. And I think once he has those moments more, I think then you can argue for him being world class. Like, for me, he's a brilliant player. No, I will never put down Saka. He's done so much for Arsenal. One of my favorite Arsenal players. He was there from when we were battling eighth. Yeah, this guy deserves everything, and I hope that Arsenal win something with this guy because he deserves everything. But look, he's a brilliant player, and I really do think he's just on that borderline of world class. Now, another player, of course, we have to consider is Declan Rice. Now, when you look at Declan Rice, I could argue he is one of the best CDMs in the league. I could say he's top two for me. I think Rodri is just ahead of him, and I think in the world, when you look as well, it's hard to argue what other number sixes are better than him. Maybe it's just because I'm being dumb. Maybe I haven't watched enough European football. But for me, in my opinion, I struggle to think of any better CDMs than him. He's been consistent. I think another he's consistent every week when he plays for Arsenal. He's dropping 7, 8 every week. He's won the Conference League with West Ham. Yes, it's a Conference League, it's not the Champions League, but it's hard to judge a player like Declan Rice against a Champions League when he's never. Of course, it's his first season. It's unfair to say he needs to win the Champions League this season, or because he hasn't won the Champions League, he's not world class. Because you can only judge him for what he's played in, and he's played in the Conference League, and he played a big part leading up. Even I think the semi-finals or something, he scored a goal as well. He's had these moments. Now, for me, Declan Rice, I think, you know what, if someone argued he's world class, I wouldn't debate it. I would say, you know what, I could see it, but I think he's also just in that same line with Saka. I think he's just on the border of world class. I think some people might think I'm being too harsh, but I just think world class is players that they perform in the big moments. So far, Declan Rice, he has had the Conference League, but I do think he needs a bit more as well, and then we can say it's world class. You saw Rodri Champions League last season against Bayern Munich. That is the difference makers. That's what you call. That is what I would say separates Rodri from Declan Rice. Moments like that. But I'm not saying Declan Rice is a bad player. People are going to think I'm hating on Declan Rice. He's a brilliant player, but I think it's just moments like that. Odegaard. Now this guy, he is so. You know what? I would argue he's world class. The next player I'm going to talk about, I would say he's world class. But Odegaard, he is another player that's up for this conversation. He is really stepping up recently, man. This guy, 15 goals from last season, captain of our team. This season as well, he's carried on. And I think Porto was the game where I really saw that this guy, you know what, I can even argue he's world class, because this guy in Porto, he was one of the few players in the Emirates Stadium that actually turned up. In the home leg, he was one of the few players that never stopped running. He kept going, and he was the one where he produced that magic. That is what world class players do. They produce that type of magic in big, tight pressure games. Odegaard with a needle of a pass, passed it to Trossard, and Trossard finished that. I think that is what you call world class. Now, there are still some flaws to his game. I do think one of his flaws is sometimes he doesn't shoot enough. Sometimes it takes a bit too long, and his weaker foot. I think you can see when you watch Odegaard, his weaker foot for him sometimes doesn't even exist. He's just so reliant on the left foot, and that's not a bad thing. There are some brilliant players in the world, in history, that have been so good and they've never used their weaker foot. Iron Robben, one of the best wingers in the world ever, and this guy never used his right foot. So, you know, he can go with it, but I'm just saying I think Odegaard is really close. The second player I'm telling you now is world class, and that is William Saliba. For me, this guy, I will argue with anyone, this guy is world class. Now, he is, for me, I would say, I can argue top 3 centre backs in the world. Like, this guy is that good. When you look at, I could say Van Dijk is better than him. Maybe Ruben Diaz, you could say, is better than him. Konate, I'm not sure. Like, literally, this guy is up there. And for me, I would argue he's world class. This guy is a brilliant player. Performs every single game. Every single game he has. The worst you will see him drop is probably a 7 out of 10. And I think that's why I will argue he is a world class player. He's so elegant with the ball. Defensively, he's so good. You can tell the way he reads the game is brilliant. And I think this is one player I will argue with anyone is world class, which is William Saliba. So when I look at the team, can confidently say there is one world class player, which I know some fans might go crazy. Some Arsenal fans are like, yo, this guy is going crazy. He's disrespecting the team. I'm not disrespecting the team. I just think we need moments and trophies to back up our point of that we actually have world class players. I mean, what is the point if I go say we have 11 world class players and at the end we end the season with trophyless? Then clearly these players are not good enough. So that's my view on it. And I think that's credit to Arteta even more. If he's able to go this far, he's been able to take a group of players this far, whilst apparently only having world-class players in my definition. So yeah, let me know in the comments if you disagree, if you think I missed out some other players. And yeah, catch you guys next time.